Stream, so hopefully we are live. This is not one of the many occasions where OBS lies to me.
Oh yeah, don't you love it? Here we can preview the stream.
I'm waiting to
Yep,
see.
Yeah,
just got the notification.
As I say, my phone
Beautiful.
just went off.
Beautiful.
Mine has
Well,
the little
Twitch is
scrolly
all
loading
over it.
thing,
They
so
know
it
how
looks like it's
important this
working.
is.
I just can't see it yet.
Yep.
Oh, there it is.
Don't call it important. That's going to make me more nervous, you know.
Well, no
It's
pressure,
so
but my
important.
entire childhood happiness depends on
It's
this.
based on this? I saw your
yeah.
tweet. All right.
Just
you
saying,
little
no
Estonian
pressure,
ass.
but this better be fun or I'm gonna kill everything.
Okay. Well, we'll see how the first
Literally
session
everything.
goes, right? Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of the name of the game, right?
Right? So, ladies and gentlemen, we are playing Vampire. I believe I'm under the correct game to do so in Twitch.
Indeed, you are.
I was say it looks like it. Yeah.
Because that's like the cover of the rule book, so I'm assuming that that's the correct one. The D&D one was a little more obvious. I had to hunt around for this one. I think this is the right spot to be doing that. What up, Nikki? So
Looks like
fetch.
you are. We did it, Reddit. We did it.
We did it. Puddles the Homer.
Puddles the Homer.
Well, it says Puddles under my name, so
All right, so I got some fairly cliche. Let's try to turn it down, but I don't know if you've messed around with it since. Is that loud? That feels loud.
I can turn it down on my end.
All the others seem to be volume level, but that one's a little loud. The tabletop audio and what was the other one? And Battle Bards that got in there after SoundCloud decided to kick themselves out for whatever reason. Yeah, they got some fantastic music.
Yeah, tabletop audio is really good for like ambient type noise and just background music, I think. I haven't looked at Battle Bards yet, but I did upload my entire SoundCloud library to Fanburst, which is basically the new SoundCloud.
All right. Oh yeah, sweet. So, Vampire the Masquerade. So I'll say right at the start, I sent you guys the Humble Bundle PDFs, which are a more up-to-date rule set. I've got the physical book, which I find easier to read when I'm doing tabletop setup, of second edition. So the editions are fairly close. If at any point there is a rules discrepancy between what you guys read in your versions and what I have in my version, we'll go with whichever one benefits you guys the most, right?
Sounds fine.
All right, figure's pretty simple. Most of the rules are the same. The primary difference is minor stuff like initiative and combat and things like that. It will also say that, as you can see, this is a splash page that I'm using just so you guys get in, so I don't ruin anything yet. There won't be a lot of maps and token play. If we do move to that, and I got a couple things where maybe we could do that in a couple sessions from now, we'll set up the tokens and I'll have a generic map, not generic, a new map in the views. But a lot of these are just going to be splash ambiance pages to give you an idea where we're at. This game is a lot about roleplay and character interaction more so than combat, but there are definitely rules for combat in there, and if you didn't read them, if there's some tonight, if there's some another night, we'll go through them. It's pretty easy. It's just not the same as D&D, right? So, for viewers and for you guys, Vampire and all the World of Darkness stuff is based on D10s. All right. Now, we will only be rolling one die while we create our character tonight, just a single one. Everything else is budgets. And let me make sure that I have Ammo's character sheet set up appropriately. Yep. Okay. So you guys can pull up your character sheet. And widen it a little bit so that everything is nice in columns. It's not. It's an older system, so whoever put that character sheet in there did a great job. But just if you mess around with the size, it gets a little wonky. and I tried to mess around with it, and I didn't do a good job. So I just
looks-
left it as is.
It looks pretty good.
Yeah, looks good
Alright,
to
good.
me.
When I first load it up, it's like a squished little thing, and I have to stretch it out. So, so the D10 system, and I'll just very briefly go over that, and we can talk about it more later. Whenever you roll anything, it's going to be a collection of D10, and it's going to be based on two things: an attribute and an ability. And you'll add the dots in each together and roll. And by default, the difficulty is 6, which means you're looking for at least one die to end up with a 6 on it, and then and that means you've succeeded, or 6 or higher. Excuse me, 6 or higher, you get a success. The more successes, the better off you are. If you have 0 successes, you fail. If you have no successes and a 1 on any die, you botch, and something horrible happens. But if you have 10s, those are automatic successes, and 10s and 1s will cancel each other out. So you'll throw your dice down, whatever you got on the table, we take away fails and successes, and then whatever you got, or fails and automatic successes, and whatever you got left, we'll see if you win. And it ends up being the longer the campaign goes on, the more and more dice you get. We're expecting probably 4 or 5 sessions out of this, so I don't expect anyone to have insane dice pools, but we'll see where we go, because you should be meeting some pretty interesting vampires and things as things go on. All right, so any questions on that? I know it's a brand new system for most of you guys.
I've actually played World of Darkness, the werewolf, which is very similar.
Yes, nice. Excellent.
It's been a while, but I played it.
So yeah, last thing I'll say is I have never been a storyteller for Vampire before. I've played, and the last time I played was in college. So we're talking a while. It's been a while.
A minute.
It's been a minute, right? That was the last time I played seriously, but hopefully I've refreshed myself well enough that that if I mess up, you guys won't know the difference. Hopefully I can hide it. So, Homer, since you know about the World of Darkness, you want to tell us a little bit about it? What you know from Werewolf?
Oh god, I also played a long time ago.
Okay.
But I played Werewolf, so I know that like some basic things were like it's meant that like all monsters are real, not just the ones we're playing. Werewolves and vampires don't get along. What else do I remember?
Oh dear Lord, this
I
monster.
remember a lot of the werewolf lore, so I don't know a lot about the vampire side of things, but I know like they're kind of similar. Like they work in little small groups usually. They have clans that they're a part of, which is also similar to the vampire side. They don't have races per se like they do in D&D. They have their clans are kind of like almost like their race. It defines like the kind of character you are.
Exactly.
And even like your physical attributes, and some of them, a lot of them, especially on the vampire side, attribute to how your character works. I remember in like character creation, you picked like tiered skills, like best, middle ground, and worst, or well, I shouldn't say worst, but like, you know, primary, secondary, tertiary, I guess is better terms.
Yep.
And like your abilities that you can do. Oh god. I think that's about all I remember.
That's good. So for people who don't know, the World of Darkness is, like, just as the name says, it's the world, and it's our same world. But there are small differences that kind of compound. And as you said, all monsters are real. And that's mostly true to an extent. Anything that has been imagined has some basis in the World of Darkness lore. Just in general, the World of Darkness it has a more gothic feel to it. Now imagine this was it was imagined first in the 90s, when everything was super edgy and, um, the internet was just getting started. It's where we're all figuring out how, not edgy everyone is. But the sun doesn't shine as bright, right? The world overall is darker. And while
Sounds
it
nice.
Emo
while it
scream inbound.
mirrors, like you could say that it's the darker side of the mirror from our own world, right? And it's the architecture is more gothic in nature. Think Gotham City. You know how Gotham always feels like that anachronistic time, right? The cars, the buildings, things like that. They always feel, I don't know, like there's more weight to them. And you'll find things like maybe in the World of Darkness, the cities will look the same, but maybe there's a castle in, say, Chicago for no reason. But it's always been there. They built it up hundreds of years ago, and just for some reason there's a castle there. Things like that. And cities become far more prevalent. They become far more populated. And the spaces between are far more barren. So you'll still have the same kind of towns will still be there, the towns little towns that we live in. But it's far more likely that things like the vampires the werewolves you were mentioning, live in those wilds. And things like the gangrel vampires, who are sometimes friends, sometimes foes of the Lupine, are out there as well. That's the kind of thing. They're pulled towards cities. People and monsters and kindred, they're all pulled together. Because despite the fact that vampires are monsters, and they feed upon humans, they're also generally of them and fascinated by them. So that's kind of how they differ and mirror one another. And as you said, there's clans, and the clans there's something called the generation, which we'll go into in character creation. And the generation is how many steps away from Cain you are. And in some rare cases, how far from other vampires you are. But we'll get into that later.
Cain being the original vampire.
Exactly. So when I say Cain, I'm talking about the father of murder, as Supernatural calls him, because he's the first being, the first human to commit murder. He killed his brother Abel in a sacrifice to God and was cursed by God for that action. This is the same Cain who's the father of all vampires. So when we say, in general, you will start a 13th generation, unless you take the background, that means that there are 12 vampires before you. But the farther back you go, the more steeped in history each vampire is. And as you get up to the 4th and the 3rd and the 2nd, well, these vampires are missing. They're the antediluvians and the Methuselahs, the oldest beings known ever. And we don't know who they are. And somewhere along the way, somewhere in the 2nd and 3rd generation, this is where the clans spawned from, where the bloodlines diversified enough to create these different disciplines and how they spread away from Cain into all of you. So, go right into character creation. Now, this is called the Prelude. And the first session of every vampire game deals with who you were as humans before you became vampires. And becoming the vampire will be part of this. Right? So, Thog, you wrote up a wonderful backstory. Do you want to share some of that?
Sure. Let me grab that real quick. Characters.
Now, you want to hide some of this from other players if you want, or you want to share some of it. Obviously, don't meta, regardless, because you won't know unless you learn it in game.
Right.
Because, like Trip, some of your story we're going to keep hidden, right? As we talked about. So we'll share as much or as little as you guys want. But to know about who we are as vampires, we have to know who we were as humans. So.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much of this I'm supposed to read, because it is pretty extensive.
Don't worry about reading it. Don't.
Oh, just
tell
give,
us,
like, basic synopsis.
Yeah. Yep. Who is your character? You call him Blackbird, but why?
He is a musician, first and foremost, a Vietnam War veteran. He got the name Blackbird while he was in serving overseas in Vietnam. He is half Egyptian. He was actually born in Alexandria, Egypt, but moved when very young because of the Revolution of 1952. Parents decided to start a new life in America. But yeah, his biggest passion is music, and the faster, louder, and intense that music is, the more it makes him feel alive. So, after coming home from the war, he quickly found himself drawn to the darker side of music at the time, which would be like Deep Purple and Black Sabbath. Eventually became acquainted with some of those gentlemen.
And he got himself involved in the rock and roll lifestyle, did he?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Both heels right in.
So, getting involved in music, as he did in San Francisco at the time. San Francisco is a hotbed of different cultures, different styles, and it's a big city. Big cities, as I just said, will draw the vampires. So, you said that he likes to run with Richie Blackmore.
Oh yeah.
So after time, you start to see, the rock and roll lifestyle. It has a lot of women. It has a lot of drugs.
Oh yeah.
It has a lot of, men. It's San Francisco, whatever the style is, right? And this is the early 80s, man. There's cocaine everywhere.
Woo!
So, seeing, girls hanging out with you and Richie is probably not an uncommon thing, right?
Oh no. Very charismatic.
Make this music a little louder. As time goes on, you start to notice that every time you come through certain neighborhoods, certain cities, a woman starts to be more prevalent among the girls hanging around you and Richie. And she's gorgeous. Just drop dead gorgeous. And what's uncommon for the time is she has a lot of tattoos. And then she keeps them covered. She has she has very fashionable clothing, very fashionable hair. But she has very, very striking tattoos up her arms. And this is mostly, the biker culture at the time, outcast stuff, but heavy metal music, it's probably there a lot too. But she stands out. And as time goes by, Richie stops paying attention to the rest of the groupies and starts paying attention to her a whole lot more. So you're thinking, maybe he's going to finally settle down. But you notice too that whenever she's around, your buddy doesn't really, he acknowledges you, but it's not the same. His eyes are only for her. How do you go? Is there anything you do with that?
I'd pull him aside at some point. Be like, Richie, you and this chick are getting into it heavy, huh?
It's like, yeah, man, I think she's the one. I think she's fantastic. And when he talks about her, his eyes just kind of, they don't glaze, but they're looking somewhere else.
Right, and I'm assuming like I would know enough about the rock and roll lifestyle at this point that I'd be able to kind of pick up on physical cues for drug use.
Yep, absolutely.
Like, does it seem like he's oped out, like heroin, or is he tripping balls, or what's going on?
He's got his faculties about him, but unless he's making music, he's kind of, sleepwalking, right? He's, yeah, he's not really, when he's on stage, he's fire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then he comes off stage, and instead of, like, drinking with the boys, heading backstage, he's looking around for her. And, of course, you learn over time, her name is, very silly, Chastity. and you don't ever see her hanging off anyone else. So maybe the name sticks. Maybe it's for a reason.
Right.
But so it's one night. We're in the middle of summer, 1983, and the show's coming up, and you can't find Richie. But you're already in the arena.
So, well, there'd be teams of people looking for him. So I'd be trying to help coordinate, you know, grabbing stagehands, roadies, like, fucking find this guy. We need him to go on.
Okay. So you're sending the people out. You got the stagehands running left and right. The rest of the band's getting ready. You know, they've all got their own shit to do, their own pre-show thing they want to do, and and Richie's kind of been a little bit flighty lately, but he's never missed a show, so they're not worried. But time keeps getting closer. The show keeps going. You can hear the crowd outside. They're stomping. There's, you just hear the loud, raucous cheers, and he's still not around. But one of the stagehands tells you that they thought they saw him go out back, leaving the arena.
Show's gotta go on. I'm gonna fill in.
All right.
Team play it.
Okay. So you go on stage.
I'll deal with Richie later, man. I'll have to sort it out then, but the show must go on.
Excellent. Okay, so you go out on stage, and you're just gonna kill it. You realize that you've been hanging around in the shadow of Richie for too long, and even though he's great, he's a friend, wonderfully talented. Maybe you're just better.
Ooh.
All right. So you feel you take his place wholeheartedly. You're not sitting in the background anymore. And as you play, imagine the crowd all in front of you. And this is a packed house, packed stadium. People are moving all around. And right in the middle, eyes only for you, is Chastity. And where everyone is thrashing around, she's not moving. She's an island in the middle of all these people. And she's staring right at you. You change your performance at all?
No, I just do the absolute best job that I can.
All right. All right, so you play out your set. 3 or 4 encores later, crowd's going wild. And as the set's wrapping up, you notice you don't see Chastity anymore. She's gone. But as the band makes its way backstage, where do you head first?
I'm gonna go talk to the band and be like, I hope I was okay, man. I did what needed to be done.
They hope Richie's okay. Now they have some concern, but slapping you on the back, shouting your name, you've absolutely crushed it. And they're gonna go do their normal post-show shenanigans, right? They're gonna head back to the hotel. They're gonna destroy a bunch of furniture. They're gonna party their asses off until they got to be shoveled into the bus for the next venue tomorrow.
All right. I'm gonna see if anybody's seen Richie at all. Like, a couple hours has gone by at least at this point, so maybe one of the people we sent out looking for him has more information.
So one of the stagehands, he's going to tell you that they think they saw him leave an hour before the show ever started, saying that he wasn't feeling well and he was heading back to the hotel.
All right, well, I'll follow everybody back to the hotel then. Seems like that's the convergence point. If he's there,
Okay.
the rest of the band's going there. I'm not going to stick around the stadium, so.
Okay. So you head back to the hotel. Band goes up. They've got one of those big suites right at the top floor, and the bellhops and the porters and stuff. They're hoping to get a look at what's going on. They think it's funny the cleaning crew, the cleaning staff, they know they're going to have a mess to clean up in the morning. But everything's insured, and they're going to get paid anyway, so no big deal. And the party kicks up in the suite, and everyone's got their own individual rooms away from this area, but this is where the band hangs out mostly, and it's just, it's like the concert never stopped. The party keeps going in there, well past midnight, well past 1 a.m.
Any
Partying
sign?
with the band?
Oh yeah. Any sign of Richie around?
Nope.
I'll go to his room.
Okay. Door is shut.
Knock.
No answer.
Do I have a key?
Remember, it's the 80s. It's a private floor. You could probably just open it.
Yeah, I'll open the door.
All right. Inside, the room is quiet and dark. And instead of Richie, you find Chastity sitting on the bed.
You seen Richie? Everybody's worried about him.
Yeah, I've seen Richie.
Is he here? Can I talk to him?
He's here. You can try talking to him. He's in the bathroom.
I'll go over to the bathroom door and knock. Be like, hey Richie, what's going on, man?
And you just hear,
Richie, I'm coming in. Are you decent? Put the hog away.
just more.
All right, I'm gonna open the door cautiously. Doing that thing that all men do when they have to open a bathroom door and they know there's another man in there. Averting the eyes. I'm looking up and to the right as I open the door with my left hand.
No, you be alpha and stare it right in the face.
No, true.
But which
No.
which eye do you focus on it? I don't know.
Yeah, open the door, kind of glance out of the corner of my eye. Is he nude?
He's not nude.
Okay.
But you go to push the door, and it doesn't really... It stops. And if you peek around it, you can see he's laying on the floor next to the toilet.
All right, I'll barge my way. I'll, as gently as possible, try and wedge my way in there.
Okay. And so what you find when you get in there, if you roll him over, he's got a belt pulled around his arm.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see marks in his arm, but no needles around.
I'll yank the belt off his arm and be like, bro, what are you doing?
And as you do that, his eyes snap wide open, and he shouts, "No!" And that's when something clubs you in the back of the head.
Thud.
Yep.
And scene.
Ow!
So that's where we're going to leave you.
Okay, cool.
Ooh,
All right.
very interesting.
So let's go over to ammo.
Man.
I actually had, I was gonna type it to you so that I wouldn't say it out loud because I had a little bit of a question for
Go ahead.
you. Hang on, let me get my whole thing open.
If the question's going to make you change some stuff, and you want me to come back to you?
Well, it's not. Hang on, you'll see in a second.
Okay.
So while you guys are doing that, I will thank everybody in chat for coming out and watching. What's up, everybody? Josiah. Thank you, Ewok, for that donation earlier. I didn't want to cut off Buckle. So he said, this is what it feels like to watch D&D. Feels the hug, man.
I love
Buckle, I found in this PDF it says Trip can't die.
Oh, yeah?
Yep, and you said if it's more beneficial than your butt.
you did say that.
I mean, if you can cite the page, whatever, I'll give it a look.
Yep.
Also, guys, if we manage to get the monthly goat bar to $333 in the next week, I will do a social eating stream where I eat cottage cheese noodles. I'm not looking forward to.
Why?
It's It's like
See
an
ammo.
it's like an
The bar
ongoing
up.
thing between me and Ammo because she swears by it and it sounds horrifyingly disgusting to me.
It's great.
But it's
I've
not
never
like
heard how
poisonous.
she
You know, it'll be like a fun thing I can do for people. They
Aw,
want to watch me
kitty.
suffer. I know these sadists in my stream. They want to watch me suffer.
Little kitty, kitty. Oh, he likes the screeches.
You would too if you were a kitty.
anyway.
I think I would.
I'm not a
I do
cat.
like
I think
scratches.
scratches on the chin.
Right?
But
Anyway.
I'm not a cat.
I'm a man, not a cat. Emma,
Mhm.
how old do you see your character being in 1983?
She will be 21.
Okay. So. That
Old
puts
enough
her.
to kick your ass.
1962 would be her birth year.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So.
Birthday doesn't really matter because I don't know like what specific month it's supposed to be when all this is going down. So
Don't worry
birthday
about
doesn't
that.
matter to me at all. She'll be
That
21,
That works.
regardless of the month.
Because we're going to go over it, though. What are your character's motivations? What, given the situation that you're going to find yourself in, and what you just told me, do you see Ivy as a survivor?
Yes. Yes, she is. Definitely.
About a holy diver.
Does she ride tigers?
Maybe.
What are her attachments to people?
She really only cares about her adoptive father. She's not too fond of strangers. She's very suspicious / untrusting person.
Okay. So, given that she's untrusting, what would be some way to get through to her? What's something that would make her respect?
Someone who her father respects, or if it's someone that neither of them know, probably if they were as interested in like information, knowledge and stuff as she is. Also, if they seem to gain animals' trusts, she might trust them as well.
Does that extend beyond animals to nature in general? Plants, forests, wetlands, places to be protected? Or is it only animals?
I guess both, more so animals, but yes. Both. Yes. More so animals, but yes, both.
Okay. So, born in 1962.
Yes.
So, in 1969, Summer of Love,
Ooh, baby.
you're 7 years old, and your hippie parents think it's time to go out and go camping.
Parent.
Parent.
Yes.
All right.
One parent.
Now, mother or father?
Father.
Father. All right. Where's the mother?
Don't have one.
Skipped town, did she?
No. Just
She's a test tube baby.
didn't have one. Well, I did, but they're both dead.
No, we're talking, you're 7 years old, 1969.
Yes.
Right?
My real parents are dead.
Yes. Oh, no, I know. We're going to get to that, though.
But I only have an adoptive father.
Yes.
No mother.
I know. Yes. No. I get that.
Before.
Yes, we're talking before. We're setting the stage here. So, both parents hippies? Both
you
your
mean
biological parents
My
were alive.
biological parents.
Yes, biological
Oh,
parents.
okay. Somewhat, yeah. Maybe not so much hippie as like really outdoorsy, like we're gonna climb mountains and hike through the woods and that sort of thing.
So, being that you're 7, that's what camping seems like. We're going to be outdoors. We're going to be sleeping in tents, and we're going to be tromping through the woods.
Yeah.
And so, you pack up all your stuff. You get your favorite stuffed animal. You get your backpack. Your parents load up the car, and off you go. Oh, favorite book. Sorry, I forgot knowledge. And you head off. And when you get there, it looks like the woods. But maybe to someone your age now, you'd realize this is kind of just off the interstate, not too far. You got some of those caravans set up here and there.
Hey, Ivy, we're in the deep woods now.
Like caravans.
Like, see the highway from where we're standing.
It's just a rest stop.
A little bit farther out from the rest.
I'm gonna take you on a real camping trip.
This is the kind of place where you pay by the day to have, get your campsite set up. And there's some woods and trees and things like that between each thing. But, it's, you can see off the distance other people's fires. And that periodically one or the other parent will wander away for a time and come back. And sometimes someone else will come in. And as it gets later and later, they send you off to sleep in your tent. But there's a lot of laughing and giggling going on. And you realize that there's hey man, it's a summer of love. And maybe this campsite is a bit more.
Tobacco.
Well, there's some of that. But there's also, maybe some swapping going on. Right?
Oh, hey.
Right?
Lewd and
I don't get it.
lascivious.
Please explain in greater detail.
Yeah.
I'm only 7. What is this?
What's swapping?
I
find
don't
out when you're
remember
older.
how I sounded when I was 7, so
Are they sharing faces?
I can't really give you an imitation. I
Um,
probably sounded the same when I was 7, to be honest.
So one thing that stands out in your memory about this night is that it is the brightest full moon you've ever seen. And as the party winds down and it gets quiet, very suddenly it gets significantly louder. As in your parents' tent, the grunting from before is now growling and howling. And you wake up and come out of your tent to see the most massive wolf you have ever seen ripping apart your parents. And all around you in the woods, you can hear the same screams. And you see people run by, being chased, tackled down, and ripped apart. And
TP. Sorry.
yeah.
Hey now.
Anyway.
So popping up around you, all around your campsite, you start to see glowing red eyes. And these are not wolf eyes. These are human eyes, just burning a fiery red that doesn't extend beyond the eyes, but these orbs are deep and red and fiery, and they're volatile.
Hungry eyes. Sorry.
And walking from the woods is a very tall man with long hair, a long beard. Through all this beard, he's got ornamentation, beads and coins like braided through. And he stands 6 feet, 6'5", 6'8". As a child, he's very tall. And to his left and right come more. And they all look same. Nomadic. The main man standing in front of you, he's wearing only a vest, and he's ripped. And he's got leather pants. And he looks like maybe he could be a biker. But from the faces of those around him, and you can see some of them have long snouts, and some of them have long clawed fingers. Some of them have very pointy ears. But these aren't just bikers, if they are at all. But there's something else. And the wolf, ripping apart your parents, turns and looks at them. And the man says, "We had a pact, and you've broken it. And now you are going to be hunted. and the ones around him flank out. And you can now hear the sounds of what was slaughter is fighting, howling in wolves and slashing back and forth. And the wolf in front of you, you can now see blood dripping, your parents' blood coming down off of his jowls. And he stands, and he is gray. He looks old. And across his face is a slash, and one eye is milky white. And he says something in a growling, guttural speech that you don't understand. The man says, "You've already paid once. If you don't take your people and go now, we will kill them all." And he turns around, the wolf turns around and slinks off. And he kneels down to you. And he says, "My name's Tadius, and you're going to come with us for now." And he takes you away. Now, this is your adoptive father. And I said, he's a very big man. What's it like being a 7-year-old living with what you learned to be a pack of vampires?
A little bit scary. But they did save my life.
Just a wee bit.
I'm not real sure what to do with my hands.
Do I do this? Do I do this?
I of course, being tiny thing that I am, just watching my parents ripped apart, and then suddenly there's this other group of scary individuals that are like, "Oh, hey, rest of you guys," I'm being the big guy, like, "Oh, deal with them," and then just I'm like, that's she's like still in shock, but also like, because you know how if something absolutely horrible happens right in front of you, you're in that state of like, what just happened? But then if you suddenly see monsters fighting, you do get that little bit of like, ah! So like, still in shock, but has a little bit of that fear creeping in because she's little and surrounded by werewolves and now vampires and other.
So Thaddeus takes you back with his brood. Right? And you can see that they all have, as I said, bestial features. But Thaddeus himself has none. He's the only one who looks truly human. You know, though pale. And as you get older, he teaches you about vampires. He teaches you about the kindred. But in particular, he teaches you about the gangrel. And the gangrel vampires are the closest to the lupine. These are the ones who embrace the nature of the beast that lives in all things. And the gangrel seek to tame it. But they also have the hardest time trying to tame it. And the thing about vampires is you're always on that razor's edge of losing control, especially when you're new. So things like being hungry and the sight of blood could incite a frenzy in you. And after so many frenzies, the beast, he breaks out and he manifests himself within you, right? He gives you that form. So it's impressive that Thaddeus has no animalistic forms to him, though all the rest do. And you can see that they all look up to him. He is clearly this pack's leader. And they respect his wishes to leave you alone and to raise you? You're not quite sure. You're very young still. But given that you're a child, you're cared for. You're placed with people during the day so you can get education. So you're not so removed from humanity, but at night, he is always there. So as you grow up, is there any... Do you trend towards him more? Or is there ever a spark of rebelliousness to return back to the world?
Well, what I was thinking for character, like what I kind of had in mind this whole time was
Okay, you tell
that
me then. Yep.
she does stay more like, not that she doesn't care about what's going on in the world, she likes to learn and stuff about it, but she doesn't really want to participate too much.
Okay.
She kind of just wants to, like, you can stay over there, I'll stay over here, I'll learn about it, but I'm gonna stay over here.
Okay.
Thank you. I'll stick with my family. There's literally just me and him as my, like, family,
Mhm.
and then of course the rest of the gang will. But I'll stick with
Yep.
my
Well,
family.
kindred are generally solitary, but they'll come together for reasons. So they're not always there. But if there's ever a lesson that he feels one of them could teach you more better, they may do it rather than him. Right? So you're approaching your 21st birthday, and he poses a question to you. Do you want to be one of us? Now that you're grown and can make this choice yourself, you're one of few humans to know what it is to be kindred.
One of us. Gooba gobble, one of
Gobble,
us.
one of
We
us.
accept you, one of us.
And this is where amateur wrestlers in the campaign been saying no.
No, just kidding.
Sorry, just go ahead and make your camera black,
And-
and we'll come back to you later.
No. Yes, she would feel that she fits in better there, because I mean, she only lived a very small portion of her life outside of
Mhm.
this way of life, and not so, like, my brain immediately thought Stockholm Syndrome for a second, because, like,
Maybe.
I mean, they're vampires, they could easily be like, we don't want anyone to know about us, like,
Mhm.
if I wanted to leave. However, they might not necessarily do that, because, like, again, when they found me, I was a young child. If I went out to, I don't even know where I would have ended up if I wasn't saved. Who knows? I probably would have died there. But if somehow I survived and made it out into the world with a different family and was raised in normal human life, if I ever said, oh, my parents were killed by werewolves and I was saved by vampires, they'd be like, haha, yeah, and Tooth Fairy and, you know, unicorns are
Mhm.
great and real, and yeah, they probably wouldn't believe me. So, not that I feel a sense of Stockholm Syndrome in this situation, that's just what popped into my head, because they
Mhm.
did save me still,
Mhm.
but I feel that she would feel that this is, like, where she fits in. If she owes her life to these people to begin with, but also being raised for so long among this family group,
Mhm.
whatever, with her adoptive father, she would want to stay a part of that. 'Cause
Okay.
if she doesn't, well, obviously she's gonna die at some point if she stays mortal, and then, yeah.
Mhm.
So, yes.
So where does he offer you the choice? Very basic setting.
I feel like it would probably be like he'd offer to go out on, like, some sort of little hike, like a walk out somewhere, and be like, hey, so
Okay.
what do you think?
So the whole time that you're walking through the woods, and it's dark, there's enough light to see by from the moon and stars, but only just barely. And you can see that his eyes, when you're in this kind of dark forest, his eyes glow this red. Not always, but you know that it manifests during these times. And he walks with you.
Mm-hmm.
And you get the feeling creeping along your spine that someone else is out there with you. Not an uncommon feeling in the forest, but you feel that still fairly intensely. But Thaddeus doesn't seem concerned, so I assume you're not concerned?
Nope.
Right. And so he poses you the question, and you answer yes. And he sighs, and he takes you by the shoulders. He said, I wish things could be different, but I have no control over what's going to happen next. And from the woods behind him, person who comes out of the woods is a man all in white. And no, but this
Kenny
is a business.
Rogers.
This is a very not a business suit. This is a very nice suit, waistcoat, tie, but it's all white, head to toe.
Oh, that's
And he walks
gonna
with a
get
cane.
stained.
And while his skin is pale, you know that he was likely of a darker complexion when he was alive. And he has a very white, close-cut goatee style, you know, the whole thing like that, and very well-combed over hair. And he walks with a cane. And he steps out, and he says, she said, yes, you have to agree now. And he looks up at this man. Thaddeus turns and looks at this man, and you can see the contempt in his face. But he nods. And faster than you can track with your eyes, Thaddeus' mouth is on your neck, and he starts to drink from you, and the world goes black.
Yum, 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 yum.
Mm-hmm. Fried ammo bird is
That's
tasty.
great.
And fade out.
Fade out. You can see the
Hello,
theme now.
ammo,
This is
my
going to
old
happen to all of you.
friend.
This is why I was telling you guys to let me handle this higher stuff. So,
Yes.
all right. Who do we got? We want one of the crazies?
I got turned by a stripper.
One of the crazies.
Maybe. Let's do Bubbles.
Puddle sounds fun.
Sorry, Puddles, not Bubbles. Bubbles? There's a character I was dealing with
Bubbles.
last night named Bubbles. Let's do Puddles.
Let's deal with
Is it
puddles.
because
Get
he
the
leaves
mop.
puddles of blood everywhere?
Let's deal with the puddles.
So,
At some
Get them
point,
up.
Buckle, if you could type out the spelling of his name, because is it two D's? Like
Tatius.
Two
Oh.
D's
Tatius.
for a double dose.
Got it.
So,
I like my music.
Simon Byers,
Yes.
tell me about yourself.
There's not really a lot to say. Very mild-mannered man. You ever see like that kind of middle-aged man, you know, that has the family down the street that
Mhm.
doesn't really do anything, keeps up his yard, just kind of keeps to himself. That's
Ugh,
pretty much
that
what that
guy.
guy
Oh.
is.
I don't keep up my yard even a little
Yeah.
bit, man. Like once a month, I'm out there just bitching and moaning. So, would you say that in 1983, you're the kind of man who's got 2.5 kids, a wife, you live at the end of a cul-de-sac?
They
have Pretty half a much.
kid. What
So-
happened? Is her name Jade?
Yes.
There could be crossover, couldn't there?
Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're fine. I just didn't know the reference. So, what's before?
hard, I know.
No, before things move on, what's a day in the life of Simon?
Well, he doesn't really get along with his, you know, his family. Basically, he's got kids that don't really listen to him. He's got a wife that is very overbearing. Doesn't really listen. It doesn't really. I would probably say they're probably not in love anymore. She's kind of they're just kind of there going through the motions.
Hmm.
He's very quiet, keeps to himself. The rest of the family kind of lives the family life, but he is more of the kind of hides in the basement, seems to do stuff on his own. He generally kind of indulges in childhood fantasies, childish things. I guess that's the most indirect way I could say what I'm getting at.
Tell me he's got a train set.
I was thinking train set as well.
Maybe, yeah, we could say he's probably got a train set. That's something, you know, I guess that was pretty popular in that time frame, right? So
Did he have?
Who likes
Legos
model
or
fucking
Mega
trains?
Mega Blocks, that's too childish. He probably had the Legos, you know. You're talking toddler when you
Lincoln
think of Mega
Logs?
Blocks, you know.
Fucking
Lincoln
love
Blocks.
Lincoln Logs.
Freaking Kmart Legos.
So, Simon seems like, unfortunately, a lot of middle-aged men. We lose something about ourselves, especially when we have a family, and we don't know how to get it back always. And so over time, you start to think, is this a midlife crisis? What do I do? I don't, what do I do to fill this time? And so you're coming home from work, a job you hate, right? And you've got a new neighbor next door. And he introduces himself. His name is Davis, right? And he works the night shift. Dun, 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 right? So as you're coming home, usually he's heading out. And you start striking up a conversation with him. And that's just kind of thing. It starts with, hi, stuff like that. Over time, you start to, stop at the picket fence that all these cul-de-sacs seem to have to talk for a few minutes. And so, I feel like you don't want to get into yet to the rest of the group the childish fantasies yet.
No, we can. I just was being mysterious.
Oh, good.
Because technically that part that's in my story happens before the embrace.
Yep. So, now Davis, he's a relatively short man. He's fairly unassuming. He's balding. He's got a comb over. He's a little overweight. He's got kind of those circular glasses, the kind that they hook behind the ear type thing. Fond of sweater vests. That kind of guy, right?
This basically looks like my character.
Oh, well.
Sort
Seems
of.
like you guys are going to get along pretty well.
Yeah.
So this is why you strike up these conversations, right? And he tells you all the same things, over time, you kind of talk to him like, and he's like, yeah, my old bag, we don't get along either. I'm just kind of waiting her out and hoping, that she dies first.
Old bag.
Wow.
He says it jokingly, right? He's like, but really, I just kind of like doing my own thing. And but over time that you only ever see Davis going in and out. Now it could be that just because he works nights, you work days, you're not around when the wife goes on. But when he's gone to work, the house is cold. It's quiet. The lights aren't on. So this goes on for a few weeks, into a few months. We're moving into the fall. All right. And you start to notice that you're having trouble sleeping. And your dreams are terrible. Now, to a man like Simon Byers, what kind of terrible dreams would he have?
That's a good question. Is this like Batman's origin story? Like, do I have to have like dreams about bats attacking me right now?
Just come up with something that would keep Simon awake at night.
Maybe it's just a guy standing there like, your dreams suck. Get better dreams. This is a bad dream.
We're in a dream, asshole.
0 out of 10.
Your dreams
Dreams
are
in
boring.
2016, lol.
L2 Dream Noob. He
Have a
probably
dream.
has dreams about
Cottage cheese noodles.
no, it's not Thog.
That would be a very pleasant dream for me.
I gotta try.
Microwave dinner.
I gotta know
Probably
what it's all
has dreams. I don't know how to describe it. Like, like some people might have a dream where they fail to grow up. He might have like the reverse dream, like lost childhood dreams, probably never, lack of childhood wonder kind of stuff. Imagination, I guess, in there. What sort of things that might entail, but
What did Simon want to be when he grew up?
So Simon always had, when he was a child, he always had a fascination with clowns and the circus itself, but mostly the clown aspect, and that's probably where his nightmare kind of fuel comes from, is that he didn't have a childhood where he got that kind of wonder a lot, and so he wanted to, relive that as he got older, and that's kind of where his passion comes. Is that so? While he's in his basement with his trains, I guess he's also coming up with his own clown persona, so to speak. I guess that's where it starts, right? Every clown has their alter ego, their normal life, and then their clown life, and that's what he spends his time cultivating on his own. That's what drives him, so that he can bring that childhood wonder to other children. So that's what he does.
So the clown
So-
life chose you.
Exactly.
Just to
So you
juggalo,
find-
man.
I didn't think you'd make clowns sound creepy.
He's like a juggalo.
That just makes me hate clowns. Um, so the dreams get worse, and what you start to feel is that this wasted life has really finally caught up to you.
Mm.
So they keep you awake at night. And instead of sleeping and facing that lost childhood, you start to cultivate that personality, right? So to fight that loss, you're now taking it back, and you're hoping to then enhance perhaps the childhood of others, or really just claim it for yourself.
Right.
But you know that when you do get those snippets of sleep, they're starting to change. It's no longer about that lost childhood. It's about the fact that the people around you are holding you back. You can have all of that childhood back if you just take a little step.
Yeah.
So, how does the perfectly sane and rational man Simon Byers respond to this?
I think the first logical next step is to share his passion with his closest people, his loved ones, as it were. He's probably in a little bit of denial about that, but those are the people that are close to him. So I think he would eventually choose to share said knowledge with his family. Share his passion with his family, his new personality, as it were.
So you take a day off work, and you get down there, and you nail the makeup. You get the wig on just right, the nose centered,
Super
And you have-
squeaky.
right? And you're in the basement. You're doing this, and your wife's upstairs. Why aren't you going to work? What is going on down there? That's how she sounds to you.
All right.
But when you make your presentation, you're unveiling.
Mm.
You're going to wow her, and all these years of misery were going to go away. And generally, clowns like being laughed at.
They do.
They do. They enjoy the laughter.
Right.
But the laughter from your wife is something else altogether.
This is really meta right now because I have the same problem.
Wait a minute.
I just cubed myself out of it.
So, you head up to the top of the basement stairs.
Mm.
You open the door. Ta-da! And you are... Tell your wife what your name is.
I tell her it's me, Puddles. Puddles the clown.
You've never seen someone lose so much breath and get so red with laughter before. And it's the
Man,
you're doing
laughter
it right.
of a bully. This is someone whose suspicions and all our internal thoughts about you are now just laid bare. Everything she thought this loser of a man has
Okay.
finally gone over the deep end. Here he is, walking about like a clown instead of going to work and putting food on the table.
He's now a literal clown instead of a figurative clown.
So, Puddles,
Yeah.
how do you feel?
So I think he basically snaps at that point. I think he decides that to remedy the situation, he needs to make he basically wants to now put on a show. He wants to create the entertainment, and if they're not going to be entertained of their own free will, he's going to make the entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, he'll put the smile on her face for her with very violent means, as Nikki so quickly figured out really fast.
Well, the music's kind of helping out, huh?
Yeah, he
Clowns only do one of two things.
Yeah, clowns only do one thing. They murder everyone. That's all clowns do.
So you advance on your wife, and you show her what it is to laugh at a clown.
I show her what it is to be a clown.
Mm.
I literally carve a clown face onto her face. You gotta get the red lips, right? So the best way to do that is just remove the skin so the red muscles exposed, right? You gotta get the eyes, right? You do the slashes on each eye so they have like the lines on their eye, right? He goes crazy.
This probably isn't helping with the clown stuff going on.
Yeah, not capitalizing on that at all right now.
So, your kids come home, and they're 15 and 13, 2 boys, and they're obviously sporty and muscular, and they've always been embarrassed of their pop. And here they come into the house shouting, Mom, where's the Sunny D and the pizza pockets and shit, throwing their bags everywhere. And they see you, Puddles the Clown, putting the final touches into his wife's face.
Yeah. She's perfect now.
And you look, boys. Look what your mother and I have done.
The party has started.
The model train going in one side of her head and out the other.
Yeah. Just right at the end of that sentence. Toot, toot.
So, the essence of madness in the world of darkness is not all consuming.
Mm-hmm.
And since it says right there, Malkavians, madness is like a well for a fountain pen, and you occasionally dip into it to create art, or whatever it is that fucking psychotics create.
Art?
But it doesn't always have to be a full-time thing. Does Simon stay in the face of his children within the madness? Does he retreat further into it, or does he come back to lucidity for a moment?
No, he head over heels, fingertips first, diving in. I mean, he's spent his whole life being that mild-mannered person, and it's like a switch. He's like, Byers is gone. There isn't even a Simon Byers anymore. It's hence why Puddles is on the screen. It's full-time Puddles. The Puddle Show has begun, and it'll end in blood. Puddles is your dad now. Yes, that's what happens.
Do I have to call you dad now?
Puddles the dad.
So, does Puddles spare the boys, or is this now an all-clown family?
No. Clowns for days.
Clowns for days.
We're going super dark, guys.
Like the Partridge Family, but with clowns and death.
It's like Jurassic Park
Time
clowns.
to think of clown
We
jokes.
spared no expense.
No,
Except for maybe better security and infrared cameras. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
Our vision is
Atop to
based
the
on
cage.
laughter.
Wait, would infrared have helped in Jurassic Park? No, because they're all lizards.
Jurassic World it would have.
Really?
Well, because
I
whatever
thought they used infrared. That didn't work.
they couldn't find him in the cage, the stupid thing. So they went in and then opened the big door.
Because
and that's how the movie.
it
That
turned
was the
it.
Deus Ex Machina.
temperature
Nuke
down
it from
or
orbit.
some
It's the
crap.
only way to be sure. Where's
Oh, is that
Ripley?
what
in
I
all
thought it
this?
like did
Yeah.
camo, so it was hiding in the trees.
Yeah,
Because
it
they-
like
No, like
brought
changed
its
its body
blood temperature down low
Oh,
enough
okay.
so it couldn't
so it
be
wouldn't show
seen.
up.
I didn't realize I was dealing with a Jurassic World expert. My apologies.
I watched
It's
it
a
3 times.
fantastic-
Jurassic Worldographer.
So you pull the boys in, and you set to doing the same work you did with the wife. And just as you're arranging them for this grisly tableau that you're setting here, the door opens.
Circuit de puddles.
And it's gone on so long you don't realize the sun has set. But you hear from the front door. And here's Davis. And he's just it's magnificent. It's everything I've wanted for you. It's like, and he comes up to you and you feel at ease, right? The desire to make him a clown is not there like it was with the others.
Mhm.
Where you can see that he has, despite his calm demeanor, a bit of unease to him as he keeps looking at these bloody corpses. And occasionally he'll lick his lips. But he just surveys your work. And I assume that you've gotten some form of like wire work mixed in with there, so they're all in grisly poses
Oh,
as
yeah,
well.
they're like-
Oh yeah.
It's like the even more morbid version of Weekend at Bernie's. They're like,
Oh,
you know,
excellent.
puppetry happening, making a move. Very, it's very theatrical.
So, Davis says to you, I love your work. There's one problem, though. I've already called the police. And they'll be here very, very soon to come see. And I don't think they're going to like your art as much as I do. So you have a choice. You can stay here and be put on display in a much different way than you'd like to be. Or you can come with me. It's up to you. And he turns to leave.
I think I'd follow, but I'd probably keep looking back in like, gleeful reverie of my work as I walk and follow him. Just kind of looking back wistfully, like, oh, finally,
So, as you get to your front door, you turn and look back. And you see this work of art you've created.
Mhm.
And the biggest smile you've ever felt on your face since you were a little boy splits from ear to ear. And across the beautiful white painted face you've made is now this speckle of red.
Mhm.
And as you survey it, a bag comes down over your head and you feel a pinch in your arm. And we cut to black.
And scene.
So,
Davis was a vampire!
Oh no,
Was he?
who'd have thung?
was
Davis was a
vampire?
fucking
Hey, he
narc.
could be like a ghoul or something. Yeah, he
He's a
was a narc.
snitch!
Davis better not end up in Gen Pop.
He's like, good work, I called the cops.
Davis better not see me in the yard.
Okay. So.
Keep my goddamn name out your mouth, Davis.
It's Puddles, not Simon!
I put a link in chat of what I based this off of, slightly.
Oh god, I don't.
Then
Do I
where I
even
got
wanna
the
know?
name from, because this clown is ridiculous. It's an
Oh,
actual
I've
person.
seen that clown.
Yeah, Puddles Pity Party. is
Yeah.
what
That
I
guy's an
based it
asshole.
on. Yeah.
Just looking at him, he's just the worst.
I've seen that before.
Just, a good visual for the audience, right? You gotta create a good visual. Just imagine
Yeah.
a more blood splattered, I guess, right?
There's blood splatter under that makeup.
Yes, under the
Under the
makeup.
makeup?
Yeah, he just keeps putting the makeup on over.
Oh my god, that's disgusting. So, we're in crazy vein. Sure, we're coming to you soon.
I'm scared.
Alex Rose is interested in getting in on
Goes
that.
getting involved.
Hi, Doge.
All right.
I'm gonna need a lot of help.
Which is why I'm holding you to the end, because when we get to you, that's when we're going to do the points for everyone. We're going to walk it through together.
Emma, why are you creeping on the dog?
Yeah, my wife creeping on top.
Trying to get
It's
its
like,
attention.
hey.
He's like, yeah,
Hi,
I see you.
Doge.
Acting a
Hi,
fool over there.
Doge.
So, Trip, you play a character named Al.
Yes.
Now, we're keeping a little bit of Al to the side. And the only reason why I tell people that exactly, because Al doesn't know everything. But I'm going to start with, how old's Al? Any idea?
I know how old he is, but he doesn't. He's 20-something.
Okay. Does he know he's 20-something?
Uh,
A faint idea?
yeah, like a little bit of, like, he
You know
thinks
who's been
the
there
nurses
for a
give
long
him
time.
a little birthday present every now and then,
So every once in a while, he's got a double heaping of mashed potatoes
with a chocolate chip cookie.
and a chocolate chip cookie.
Or both.
So, what's Al's day-to-day life like?
On not being tested days, just like staring at the ceiling, staring at the wall, maybe scratching the wall. It's padded, so it sounds nice.
For the days where you're staring at the wall, are you given any kind of books? Are you given anything to,
No,
TV
they
to
don't.
watch?
Nope.
No.
Sometimes the nurses will read books.
So sometimes the nurses read books. What book would be Al's favorite?
The Sword in the Stone.
Sword in the Stone. What about the Sword of the Stone speaks to Al?
How nobody becomes like a hero and king.
So the place where you live, for lack of a better term, has a regimented schedule, right? And you don't have a lot of freedom.
Oh,
And your days are very much the same, either being tested or being in your room. There's a monotony to it. And you don't know Sunday from Friday, right? All you know is the sun comes up, the flap at the bottom of the door opens, in comes a tray of food.
Oh, he doesn't even know it's day versus night.
Fair enough. So time passes, and the only things to mark this are delivery of meals and occasionally being brought out to undergo tests.
Yep.
What's the easiest test that Al goes through?
The ones with the blocks.
Block. What's the hardest test that Al goes through?
The one with the blocks.
The one with all the blocks.
Those are the triangles. Those suck.
the block's on Tuesday.
Would be like the green injections.
Is there regularity to the green injections?
Not really. They're not that Al can tell. Because after he gets a green injection, something always goes fucky.
When you say fucky, what do you mean?
It's the 60s and 70s, so acid trips, but probably worse. Or like, there's bugs in my skin.
I think he's referring to the MK Ultra program.
I know.
Where they'd like dose you up, put you in a cell with strobe lights and loud music,
Mm-hmm.
or just
Yeah.
white noise.
I didn't know it was called, and Buckle told me.
So, yeah. So MK Ultra program, whether or not it really existed, whatever it is, this might be a step up from that. You don't know a life beyond this room in this facility. If there was one, it's gone. Its memory wiped from your brain.
Yep.
And since the days and the nights and just the cycle of events constantly move around together, you can't tell if you've been here your whole life or you were brought in some time later. So the nurses sometimes slip you a cookie. And sometimes they read you stories. Is there a favorite among them?
King Arthur?
No, among
Oh.
the staff.
Oh, the nurses? Not really, because they change often.
Okay.
I don't think many of them can stand the job long enough.
What about the orderlies? And talking, this is the, we're getting out of the late 70s, early 80s. So we're still, well, I guess even now, mental hospitals, testing facilities. The kind of people that are attracted to the role of orderly are typically not great, at least as it's portrayed in media. Do they rotate with the same regularity?
Yes. He's unsure sometimes because when the orderlies come in, big white lights come on and he can't see anything.
Okay.
Same with the doctors.
So, kind of place you're in. It's generally, a scream can be heard now and then. At least one guy in the same row of rooms as you screams with regularity you can set your clock to. So it's lights out, half an hour later you hear, "Ah!" and then it's quiet again for the rest of the night. But every night, half hour past lights out, you'll hear that same scream.
Could you imitate that again?
Doge, what? Is it my time?
Dog doesn't care.
Oh, it cares. I see it staring.
Yeah.
Oh, look at it. He just goes,
He's
Yeah,
had
his
one
head
ear
popped up.
poking up over your shoulder for like the past hour, just waiting for his cue.
He's waiting for it, right? Now, tonight's different. You don't hear the scream. Lights out's already happened. It's quiet. No scream.
It's very strange.
Another hour goes by. No scream.
Did I have an injection?
Did you have an injection? Did you do
Oh, no.
walks today? Have you had meals today?
I can't
Has anyone
remember.
let you out today?
I can't tell if Trip actually doesn't remember or if it's the character.
Hey, there, it works.
That plays character well. That's for sure.
Yeah, it's been a very quiet day. Quieter than you can remember. And now we're well into the night. And not that the day or night means any difference to you, but you know when they switch off the lights, that's when you hear the scream sometime later. And it's been hours now and you don't hear it.
I clap my hands to see if I can still hear.
No sound.
I'm deaf.
No, you can hear the. Oh, sorry.
Oh.
You can hear the sound of your clapping. I thought you meant you were trying to get the scream to go. Yeah.
Oh
you-
no. I was like, I didn't
No, look
remember
at his
making my
face.
character deaf.
I love Malkavians, man.
What kind of thing?
If
I'm-
you're deaf
I'm
and
deaf.
you know it, clap your hands.
I'm happy.
If you're happy and you know it, clap your hands.
Oh, I'm sad.
So, You can hear the clapping in your hands. You
Okay.
clearly still can hear.
Okay.
Do you stay in bed?
There's not really any point in getting up. I can't see the other rooms.
All right. So, this is going to upset my dog, but let's just go with it. You start to hear this.
I do the same thing as Doge.
And it's not the knock of like, hello, is anyone home? It's just a constant rapping at your door.
Rap tap.
At your
I
chamber
was
door.
thinking the same thing.
I go to the door because if it was the doctors and stuff, they normally wouldn't knock. They just come in.
So the door to your room has a square in it, a window, and at the bottom it has a flap. And that's what they send the food in through, and it's what you're supposed to send your tray back through, but you don't, for whatever reasons, because you're nuts. Either way, as you get up to the window, as you come up to it, in the same time with you comes another face. And it's the Screamer. He's, hi, Al. They let me out. All the doors are unlocked. And you can see, as he's talking to you, he takes one hand and it's completely covered in blood, and he's just doing this with it. Everyone's quiet and sleeping.
Wait, is it my character?
No, because I expect that Puddles would do like a cartwheel into like, hi! Hey, everybody!
He'd only talk with a horn.
Now you recognize him, and you know his name is similar to yours.
Was it Big Al?
Nah, it's a little Al. So,
Medium Al.
so what's the plan, Al?
I'm just gonna go back and sit down and wait out the drug to wear off.
So, you've never tried the knob before in your room because you've always assumed it's been locked. Turns out it's not. And you can see the doorknob turn. Well, you don't see a doorknob on your side, there isn't one. But the door pushes open, and in comes the Screamer. And it's not just his hand that's covered in blood. His entire body is awash in it. And in the hand he wasn't saying hello with, as he drew upon his face, he has just a scalpel. That's it. But it's gummy and slick with blood. And you can see that as it goes up its arm, it gets dry. He's been stabbing for a while, but you haven't heard any screams. And he comes in and very calmly sits down on the bed next to you. It's like, they gave me 2 injections today. 2. There's a new nurse.
Nice lady!
I can't remember if I got one.
It's like, no, I think I got yours. So, while you think that over, he takes your hand and he brings his to it and he hands you the scalpel. And then he lets it go. It's like, the lady said if she let me out, that I'd have to go to sleep too at the end, and I couldn't touch you.
Why do you want to touch me?
Well, if I had my way, I would put everyone to sleep. It's the only way to stop the screaming. And he just
You
does that.
fucking what, mate?
I'm surprised he's not freaking out.
Yeah, he's taking this in stride. Maybe he's
So-
just finally accepted you, Buckle.
Maybe 6 years finally. I did run him ragged today a little bit, and then took a little nap with him, tried to chill him out.
That's
So I
probably
did go
why.
nuts today. But so when he does that twitch, really only like half of him responds, and his face makes no evidence that he's done it. So he is disconnected. You're disconnected. You can't really tell, but it's not right. Christ, this music is freaking me out.
I like it.
There you sit, holding the bloody scalpel in your hand. Your compatriot, your fellow testee, sitting next to you, head to toe, covered in blood.
Pretty sure it's an injection.
So he sits there waiting for you expectantly, and then he perks up, and you can hear the clip-clop down the hall of high-heeled shoes. And you know that sound? I'm sure Ammo knows it well. That sound of high-heeled shoes with a brisk, measured pace. They're not hurrying, but they're not running.
It's
They're
like
not
a
slow.
clack and a at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. But it's a very business-like step. And so, into the room walks a nurse that you haven't seen before. She has long blonde hair, medium build. You wouldn't know her. There's nothing about her beyond that she's fairly pretty that makes her stand out from any of the other nurses. And as you said, the nurses rotate. But this one was very calm when she looks at you and the guy in the bed. And she's like, "Very good, Charlie." It's like, "You did exactly as I've asked. But why isn't it Al doing what you asked him to do?" And he looks up at her.
Ask me to do anything.
He looks up at her and he says, "I haven't asked him yet. I just told him that he had to do it." So he turns to you and says, well, takes your arm as he says, it's like, "You gotta do it. You gotta push right here, right on the deck. Make it go squish."
Like the cubes?
The cubes?
Cubes.
Ah, I see. And she kind of, yeah, it's like the cubes.
Like Mark Cuban.
So, two sets of eyes watching you, Al. You have a bloody scalpel held against the neck.
Hmm.
Okay.
He just sits there.
So she looks at you and sighs a little bit. And not really a disappointed sigh, but kind of a, she halfway expected this, but was hoping for more anyway. So she walks up and says, "Well, Charlie, you did your best, but it looks like he's not going to play." And as she turns to him, and he looks up at her, adulation in his face. Claws sprout from her fingers, and this businesslike nurse face turns to absolute glee as she just shreds into him, jamming her claws into his chest, lifting him up, and sinking fangs into his neck.
I back away to the farther other side of the bed, and I'm just like, yep. It's another injection.
Can we pause there for a moment? Looks like
Yep.
I'm dropping frames, so I'm gonna switch to a different ingest server, and
Go for
hopefully
it.
that fixes it. So stick around for a moment, guys. Do not panic. We will be right back.